Greetings in Christ. This is your 3-minute psalm for Psalm 69. Psalm 69, like the past few psalms that we have been looking at, is a wonderful prophecy of Christ. And there's a couple places where it comes out very clear that this is predicting Christ's suffering and his feelings on the cross, and he's lamenting those who are scorning him. It talks about the sour wine that the Christ would be offered on the cross. It announces this new worship that has been prophesied, since Adam and Eve, this Christ, and how faith in him would be salvation. It announces really the end of the whole sacrificial system of Jewish worship. Okay, I'm going to read selected verses here. Let's start with verse 1. Save me, O God, for the waters have come up to my neck. Okay, here is the Christ. It announces this suffering of the Christ right from the get-go. And Isaiah prophesies the suffering Christ. So that was one of the big hurdles for these Jews when the apostles went about proclaiming the good news, is that, look, the suffering Christ was prophesied. And this suffering Christ, by the way, is such a stumbling block. It's a huge stumbling block for Muslims, because why would a Savior let himself suffer? Well, right at the beginning here, verse 1, save me, O God, for the waters have come up to my neck. Let's fill it out a little bit more. Why is this Christ figure prophesied in this psalm wanting help? All right, verse 1, let's skip to verse 5. O God, you know my folly, the wrongs that I have done are not hidden from you. Now you might think, well, how can this be a prophecy of Christ when he's confessing his own sin here? Well, you have to see Christ as being burdened with the sins of the world and confessing as though he were a great sinner. And in a sense, he is the greatest of sinners in that he was bearing the sins of the world, and even said, as it's prophesied in Psalm 22, why, my God, why have you forsaken me? Right? God judged Christ as though he were a sinner on the cross. Okay? And it's not, Christ did not commit any personal sin. He was sinless. God cannot do wrong. But Christ wonderfully and mysteriously was burdened with sins, and so he can, prophesy in our place in this sense, or confess in our place. All right, so that was verse 5. Let's skip to verse 9. For zeal for your house has consumed me, and the reproaches of those who reproach you have fallen on me. Clear fulfillment of this when Christ cleansed the temple, John chapter 2. And the apostles afterwards thought, hey, this was prophesied, right? Zeal for your house is consumed. Remember, he turned over the tables when they were making all this, the money changers were making all this money and profiting off the people who were coming to worship at the temple. So clear announcement and fulfillment here, announcement of the Christ fulfillment in John chapter 2. Verse 21, if we skip there, you'll see a clear prophecy of the Christ suffering on the cross. They gave me poison for food, and for my thirst they gave me sour wine to drink. This is fulfilled and announced in all four of the Gospels, that Christ was offered this wine mixed with gall, myrrh, this yucky stuff, and Christ wouldn't take it, okay? All right, there's other elements here. I looked for comforters, but found none. This comes up in verse 20. The disciples all abandoned Jesus. This is documented in Mark chapter 14. And so there's all sorts of little elements here that announce the Christ, his suffering, and really the salvation that should come in it. All right, in verse 31, this will please the Lord more than an ox. All right, here is this announcement of the new Christian worship. The old Jewish worship is going to be going by the wayside. All right, I hope this helps you see Christ in the Psalms. Have a blessed day in the Lord.